This video is a getting started guide on how to automate your entire analysis pipeline from start to finish with Danse. Specifically, we will cover how to create an experiment project that organizes all of your neural dataset files, how to add and align behavior data from CSV and video files to each dataset, how to use the pipeline function to automate processing and analysis steps, applying the same series of operation individually to each dataset. Then we will cover how to do group analysis and pool together multiple datasets according to the experimental design. Finally, we will provide a simple way to export the data either as figures or as CSV files. Use the following timestamps to skip to the relevant sections. To begin in Danse, open Experiment Analyzer, where we can create an experiment project. Select the folder containing your data files. Next, organize the files by specifying the animal ID and other experiment-related metadata, such as group, trials, sex, task, etc., like so. Use the Load button to display the experimental design. Finally, we can name and choose the saving location of our project, a master file that saves the path to all the datasets, before creating it. Here we can see the experiment project is loaded into the file manager and contains the dataset files organized per the experiment design. Double-clicking on the dataset file opens the file in Dataset Analyzer, where we can load the raw data. In this photometry example, each dataset file contains a GCamp and isobestic signal in addition to a DIO with the timing of the stimulus. The next steps after creating our project is to add all of the external behavior data, CSV or videos, to each respective dataset file. Use the Add Behavior button and the Link Behavior Video option to add the right video to the right dataset file. Check out the Link Behavior tutorial video for more information. Select Apply. From here, we can quickly link the video to each file. Note that if you recorded videos with Doric Neuroscience Studio, you can skip this step. To check that we properly added the videos, use the File Tree button to view the file structure of each dataset. Here, we can see that in addition to the data acquisition folder that contains the raw neural data, we also have added a data behavior folder containing our video. To add data from a CSV file, we can use the Create Behavior Event option and set the source to CSV file. Just like with the videos, we can add the CSV file data individually to each dataset. Check out the Create Behavior Event tutorial video for more information. In this example, behavior data are not from the CSV file, but actually recorded directly by Doric Neuroscience Studio, which store them in the current file as DIO1 in each dataset. We can quickly create the stimulus event in every dataset using the Enter keys and up and down arrows on the keyboard. Once again, open the file tree to see that we properly added the events under the Data Behavior folder. In addition, if we open the dataset file in Dataset Analyzer, we can even load the behavior events over the neural data like so. After adding the behavior data, the next step is to automate the processing and analysis steps over each dataset file. Use the Create Pipeline tool to select which dataset file to include in the automation pipeline. Then choose the input data to the first operation in the pipeline. In this case, either video data or the raw photometry data. Depending on the type of data, different operations will be available. Some operations, like peri-event, combine neural and behavior data together. For more information on each individual operation, check out the dedicated tutorial videos. Let's create a basic pipeline. We will first decimate the signal, then calculate the photometry delta F over F, and then create peri-events with the output delta F over F and the stimulus event from earlier. Deselect an operation to remove it from the processing pipeline. Next, adjust the parameters using the preview, which loads the intermediate steps in the datasets. You can change which dataset file is loaded into the preview to test that your parameters work for each file. Again, use the up and down keys to quickly jump between datasets. After optimizing the parameters, select Process. The processing pipeline will be applied to every selected dataset. Here, 6 files successfully saved each intermediate step of the pipeline. Since Danse is designed to test multiple parameters for the same operation, we can run it once more with different parameters. As before, use the File Tree button to verify the added data. Now, in addition to the original 2 folders, we've added data processed, which saves the intermediate data such as the 2 delta F over F signals, and data analyzed, which save our 2 peri-event plots in each of the dataset files. If we open one of the dataset files in Dataset Analyzer, we can even load our behavior events over the newly created delta F over F signals, or even visualize our peri-event plots. To recap, currently we've combined neural and behavior data into peri-event plots in each dataset file. The next step is to do group analysis, pooling together datasets from the control and experimental groups respectively. To do so, select Analyze Experiment and define which groups to include in the group analysis. If we select all for both the group and the sex, then we will create a total of 4 sets of plots: female control, female experimental, and male experimental. To ignore the sex condition, select Merge. In this case, only 2 sets of plots will be created, control and experimental, both of which will contain female and male data. Next, choose which animal to include or exclude from the group analysis. The following step is to specify what analysis we want to pull together. Here, selecting a dataset that was excluded from an earlier pipeline, there are no analyses to select from. However, loading a file which was included in the pipeline, we can choose between stimuli peri-events and stimuli peri-events 1, which we can distinguish by their different parameters. Note that in the rare case where some datasets had different inputs, such as a different delta F over F obtained by separately running it on its own, you can use the Ignore Processing Parameter option. In our example, it's not applicable. Selecting Analyze saves the group analysis plots directly in our experiment project file since our data is no longer associated with a single dataset. Loading the data allows us to visualize the results. The top 2 plots are our control condition, while the bottom 2 are the experimental condition. Right-clicking on the graph can open several options. For instance, you can plot individual traces where each trace represents the average from one animal. You can also choose the type of error when plotting the mean. Lastly, to export data, save the plots like so in either PDF, JPEG, or PNG format. Alternatively, you can save the data directly in a CSV format. To recap, we created an experiment project that embedded video data and created our behavior events before automating the processing and analysis over each dataset individually. Finally, we pulled the datasets together according to the experimental design using group analysis tools and exported both plots and data as a CSV, all under 10 minutes. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to us at support@doriclenses.com.